Hey guys, it is Carla here with the lovely Erin. I know a few of you were going to find it a little bit difficult to jump on tonight, so recording this for everybody because we do have a little bit to go through, and I'll be sharing the screen and going through some slides. So last week, you would have watched the video that I did. It was basically just a bit of an introduction and making sure that everyone had everything that they needed. The nutrition guide, the training plans, didn't have any questions thrown in. So I'm guessing that everyone's pretty good. I think Jill had a couple of questions she threw into the group, but we addressed that for her. So hopefully that's okay. So please definitely use the group to your advantage. And I'm sure if you have a question, there'll be others in the group that will most likely be thinking the same thing. And be grateful that you have been brave to jump into the group and ask the questions. So please feel free to use the group as much as you need to. Also, sharing things into the group is a great way to create a good community, a good support network amongst the group, because let's face it, you're all in here for the same kind of reason: to improve your health, to lose a bit of weight, to get a bit fitter, and to start creating some healthier habits. So using the group to share some of your journey with is a great way to show others your participation. It will encourage others to participate a little bit more as well. So if you've cooked something amazing for dinner and you feel like you want to share it with the group, take a photo of it, send it through into the group, and you can share your recipe or whatever. Same with any other meal that you have during the day, your breakfast, lunch, or even if you've come across a really great snack that's working well for you. Others will appreciate you sharing that, because like I said before, they're most likely in the same boat and struggling with the same type of things. So tonight I really wanted to just start a bit of the education process around nutrition, because this is where most people struggle in their health and fitness journey. It's the nutrition. So some people, I understand, it's more the exercise side of things, or just actually getting into that routine. But for the majority of people, it is always the nutrition that is their downfall, or where they struggle the most. And mostly the reason for that is lack of education, lack of understanding what good nutrition looks like, without restricting yourself so much that by the end of the program you're going to binge and undo all the hard work that you've just done over however many weeks it is. So it's really about the education process and helping you ladies to understand a little bit better about nutrition, and how, if you're looking after your health, your body will reward you on the outside and the inside. You're going to feel amazing. Your energy will increase. And the one-on-ones that I work with, and Michelle as well, and George also, the one-on-ones that we work with, and with nutrition and training, that is definitely one of the things with the feedback that we get from so many of our clients is the energy. Like, wow, once you actually start eating healthy and actually nourishing your body with all the nutrients and vitamins and everything that it needs, the energy that you create and you get from that, you don't get that sluggish feeling, mid-afternoon, or you don't struggle to get up in the morning. You're sort of bouncing out of bed and you've got plenty of energy to get through your workout. So it's definitely a plus. It's not just about losing the weight and looking good. It's so much more. So we want to just empower you to take that control back. And that control comes with education and knowledge and understanding. So tonight I really wanted to just go through macros, that word that everyone's kind of a little bit intimidated by, or they've heard it, but they really don't understand it very well. So I'm going to just go through the very basics of what macros are tonight, so you can have a brief and general understanding of the food that you're actually eating. So next week we'll sort of progress a little bit more from that and focus on some other elements of nutrition. So we kind of want to just start you off tonight with some basics. So I'm going to share my screen. Erin, feel free to, if you have questions along the way. I'm going to share my screen. And I kind of don't want to go into full viewing mode because I'm not really needing to show you through every slide in this presentation. But I will kind of just make it a little bit bigger there. So nutrition, like I was talking about before, nutrition is really about nourishing the body, and not, it's just not about restriction all the time. And I think that's, we have that mindset of that quick fix. We want that quick fix. And we know that that comes with restriction and a lot of discipline, but not necessarily education around how you actually balance that out. So when you're nourishing your body appropriately with what it needs, according to your lifestyle and your activity levels and your goals, you can sustain that for a long period of time. When you've got that balance without restriction, you can absolutely live a healthy lifestyle. It's not just that quick fix, and you can still get incredible results. So it's really just learning how to actually live healthy. So, yeah, like I was saying before, nutrition by far is the most common factor that people struggle with. And, we've had people that we've helped along the way, not just with weight loss, but with weight gain as well. A lot of athletes and young athletes that we work with that need to put the weight on. It's all about education and understanding what nutrition is. So I just kind of wanted to go through some of the most common mistakes that people make around food. First and foremost, not eating enough protein. And we're going to go into what protein actually is in just a little bit. your carbs and your fats are too high. We're going to explain exactly what your carbs are, what your fats are. So we're going to break that down for you. Under eating, not actually eating enough. So this is where a lot of people fall short. They think that that comes into, that restriction kind of attitude and approach. They think, in order for me to lose weight, I have to reduce my food intake, and I have to restrict, and I have to undereat. I have to eat less. Whereas in actual fact, you have to eat food in order to lose weight. If you go long periods without food, so I'm talking, if you're having breakfast in the morning, but then you're not eating till 4 in the afternoon or 2 in the afternoon, your metabolism has started to slow down because it doesn't know when it's going to get food. So this is what happens when you go long periods of time without any nutrition. Your body will start to slow things down. Then you get to 2 or 4 o'clock, whenever it is, and you're starving because you haven't eaten anything since breakfast. And then you tend to overeat or eat something that you shouldn't have. You're just in that desperate kind of mode to eat something, and you grab something you shouldn't have, or you overeat a large portion because you're so hungry. Your body can actually only absorb so much in the one sitting. Anything over and above what it can't use there and then, it stores as fat. So just because you've missed your mid-morning snack, your lunch, your afternoon snack, doesn't mean you can have all of those in the one sitting. It actually doesn't work that way. It will work against you. So it's really, really important to equalize your meals paced throughout the day. We call it protein pacing. So you're getting small amounts of food, or reasonable amounts of food, paced throughout the day, so it keeps your metabolism going. Not knowing when to eat and what to eat, where people just get so confused. There's so much information out there, and it can kind of be overwhelming. So we're really here to kind of just simplify it and help you understand what good nutrition is all about. Scheduling in cheat meals that turn into cheat weekends. I know we've all done it. I've done it too. I'm human as well. And that's when we can really just undo all the hard work that we've done through the week. So one cheat meal or refeed meal, I don't like the word cheat, but refeed meal each week, not a problem. When you're scheduling it in and it's planned, not a problem. But when that continues on into the next day and you're overeating and overindulging, and it turns into the whole weekend that you've actually had a big, massive cheat on, then you're just undoing all that work that you've done, and you're starting back at square one on Monday again. So finding that balance once again. Not really knowing what they're doing, so they give up. It's not working, it's too hard. And this is that overwhelming kind of feeling of, when you've got too much conflicting information and you're listening to so many different people. They're going to give you their spin on things, and it's confusing. So a confused mind does nothing. So then you quit. It's too hard. It's not for me. And then, you're back to square one. So macros are basically what your calories are made up of. It's the food that is in your calories. They're your macros. So we're talking about your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fats. They're your macros. So when someone is talking about macros, they're just talking about protein, carbs, and fats. It's the breakdown of what your calories are made up of. It's really, really important not to get caught up on counting calories, because if you're just focusing on the calorie number at the end of the day, you're not focusing on the importance of where those calories are coming from. So you could say, yeah, I'm sticking with a 1400 or 1500 calorie diet, and yep, I'm hitting that target. But what is your balance? That could be 4 Krispy Kreme donuts. There's your 1400 calories. That is not a balanced diet. We don't want 4 Krispy Kreme donuts. We want good, nutritious food and well-balanced macros within that 14 or 15 or 16, 17, whatever it is, calories. So way more important to get your macros balanced and right before thinking about calories. If your macros are right, your calories are right. So protein. So here we go. A little bit of education on protein. We're talking about all your meats, but there's other protein sources as well. So obviously, you know, the basics, your beef, lamb, pork, chicken, turkey, fish, eggs are a great source of protein, and obviously your whey protein, your protein powders. But then there's other vegetables and legumes that are quite high in protein as well. So that's if you are a vegan or you're vegetarian, you really need to know your nutrition extremely well in order to get a well-balanced diet and make sure that you're getting enough protein. It's the protein that fills you up for longer, so it makes you feel full for longer. And it's also going to help maintain your lean muscle and help you put more muscle on. And the more muscle you have, the more calories your body burns. So having that little bit of extra muscle will help you to drop the body fat. Dairy is a great source of protein as well. Your cottage cheese is really high in protein. So we always buy the low-fat cottage cheese. And, you know, if I'm having a salad with chicken and I need a bit of extra protein, I'll do a couple of tablespoons of cottage cheese on top of my chicken salad, just to bump that protein up a little bit. Carbohydrates. So carbs, yes, they do provide energy for the body, and they're mostly found in vegetables and fruits. And then there's your starchy carbohydrates as well. So there's actually 3 types of carbs: your sugars, your simple carbs. Your starchy carbohydrates are your complex carbs. So your rice, potatoes, pasta, etc. And then you've got your fibrous carbohydrates, which are your leafy green veggies. So even when we're talking carbs, where, you know, most of the time when we're talking about carbs, we're talking about your starchy carbs, but there's still carbs in your vegetables. So 100 grams of broccoli is going to give you about 7 grams of carbohydrates, which is not a lot, but it's still carbs, still some carbs. There's the good carbs are obviously your low GI carbohydrates, low or moderate in calories, but high in nutrition. So we're talking about your sweet potato, your brown rice. They're slower acting. That's all that means. They're slower acting. Your bad carbs are the ones you kind of want to stay away from, all the sugary stuff. So your syrups, your soft drinks, fruit juice is actually really, really high in sugar. and kind of low in nutrition as well, or your sugary carbs. So our preferred carbohydrates are obviously our fibrous carbs. So having the majority of your portion of carbs as your fibrous carbs, and then a little bit of your starchy carbohydrates, and obviously a little bit of fruit is really good for you as well. All your berries, your stone fruits and bananas are really good as well. So we don't like to eliminate any food groups, all in moderation and knowing when to actually eat them. Fats are a great source of fuel for the body. Your good fats are your unsaturated fats, and you want to really avoid your trans fats and your saturated fats. So this is where you can start reading the labels of everything that you buy and knowing the difference between, your saturated fats. So when I'm looking at labels and I'm looking at fats, you want to know the ratio between your unsaturated, your trans, and your saturated fats. So you want to keep the saturated and trans fats down. Your bad fats are like your fat that's on meat, margarine, deep fried foods are probably the worst. Pastries are packed full of butter. So are cookies, donuts, it's all kind of stuff where it's like, yeah, well, that's just, self-explanatory. But sometimes it's just nice to reinforce that as well. Your good fats are obviously your unsaturated fats, your avocado, your nuts, olive oil, coconut oils, and all your seeds that, we often sprinkle the pumpkin seeds through our salads and that sort of thing. So this is like a super duper fast lesson in nutrition. But it just gives you at least the general idea of, okay, now I understand what macros are. It's just the breakdown of what my calories are made up of. And we're talking about protein, carbs, and fats. You don't have to know the ins and outs as long as you understand the basics. So this is where, yeah, okay, Carla, that's great. So how much of each food, how much of each should we be eating? And we stick with a formula that has been agreed upon by all the sports medicos across the universe. And it gives you a really good range of your protein, carbs, and fats. And it gives you a really, really good starting point. So if you want to screenshot this page, I would recommend that you do so, because that little section down the bottom, protein, carbs, and fats, is the formula that you can follow. And I'll give you an example in just a moment, but protein, anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 grams of protein per kilo of lean body weight. I'll explain. Yes.
Oh.
Go on.
Could I ask a question? Like 1.5 to 2.5, does that depend on how much you're training, or if you're not, is that what you're just about to say?
Yep.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's good. That's good that you jumped in. Yeah, absolutely, Erin. It totally does depend on how much you're training and the type of training that you're actually doing as well. So someone who doesn't do a lot of training or none at all, and perhaps just goes for a walk, 3-4 times a week, then the lower portion, that 1.5 grams of protein per kilo of lean body weight is recommended. The more training you do and the more weight training you do, the higher you go. So for me, I'm closer to, I'm at the 2.5.
So is that every day? I mean, you would be doing a lot of exercise each day, but for someone who maybe trains weights 3 times a week and then walks the rest, would you change it for each day or just have a solid sort of, do you know what I mean? Like on the days that they walk, would you just stick to 1.5 or would you just flat out?
Really, really good question. As long as you're getting the 1.5,
minimum,
that is your absolute minimum.
Okay.
So and it also depends on what your goals are as well. Yes, definitely, you obviously want to fuel your body according to your activity levels for the day. So on your training days, you want to, for someone who's training 3 days a week, I would be setting your target at about 2 grams of protein per kilo of lean body weight. On your less active days, you could drop it down a little bit. But if your goal is to put muscle on and you're wanting to really change your body composition, I would stick with the 2 grams every day.
Okay. And when you say lean body weight,
that means
if you've got a bit of weight on, then that's not lean body weight, is it?
That's right. So if you're 80 kilos, but you've got 20 kilos to lose, your lean body weight is 60 kilos. So you would work out 2 grams of protein times 60 kilos.
Wow.
So that's going to come out at 120 grams of protein per day. Now, when I say, this is where people get tripped up. When I say 120 grams of protein a day, that doesn't mean 120 grams of chicken.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the food weight. It's what's in, how much protein is in that food weight. So, for example, 100 grams of chicken is going to give you about a little over 20 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Right? So, when you work out what your daily target is, 120, for example, how many meals are you having a day? You can divide that by how many meals you're having a day. Then you know how much protein you need in each meal.
Yep.
So it might be 25 grams of actual protein per meal to make sure that you hit that 120 gram target.
Yeah, okay.
So that's going to be about 120 grams of chicken will give you about 25 grams. It's actually about 27, but
and I think I worked out like 3 egg whites is around 30 grams of protein as well.
No, that's not right.
Is that not right?
No. 1 whole egg is 6 grams of protein. 1 egg white is 4 grams.
I wonder, I put it in that fat secret. Obviously I didn't put it right.
Just check the portion.
Maybe maybe it's out. Maybe it, okay, so 6 grams for an egg.
For 1 whole
egg. A whole egg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where using a tracking app like Fat Secret that Erin just talked about, or MyFitnessPal, either one of those are the ones that most of our clients use. They're both good. But MyFitnessPal, to get the macros breakdown and what we want, you have to actually use the paid version. Whereas with Fat Secret, it's free to use all of that. So we like Fat Secret. Carbohydrates is where there's so much variation. for each individual person. So you can see there, we've got like 1 to 6, and it can actually be 1 to 7 grams of carbohydrates per kilo of lean body weight, depending on what your goals are, what your activity levels are, your body type, how fast your metabolism is, all of these sorts of things. So as a general rule, I will always start people on the 2 grams of carbs per kilo of lean body weight, just as a baseline to get started. Your carbohydrates can definitely fluctuate, and they should, according to your activity levels. But that's something I want to go into more detail next week about. We don't want to do information overload just in this week. So your fats, we want at least 0.5. So minimum of 0.5 of a gram, and close to that kind of range. So if your lean body weight is 60 kilos, you want at least 30 grams of fat each day. But you could probably go up to about 40 or 45 grams. I wouldn't go any higher than about 45. So that is just a really good formula to start your base on. And using the app is going to, basically, you just put your food in, what you're eating for each meal, and it will calculate automatically what your macros are. Once you do that a couple of days, you'll start to see where you are in comparison to this formula, where you should be. So you'll be able to see, whether your protein's down or if it's on target, where your carbs are sitting, and your fats as well. So this is just a bit of an example. Female, aged 41, 2 children, works part-time, weight trains 3 to 4 times a week and walks 5 times a week, has a goal of dropping body fat, shaping and toning. So her current weight is 75 kilos and her goal weight is 65. She wants to drop 10 kilos. So we set her lean body weight at 65, and that's where we start her macros calculation from. And as you can see, like I was mentioning before, we start with someone who's training 3 to 4 times a week. They need the protein to be sitting at about 2 grams per kilo of lean body weight to support the maintaining the muscle and putting muscle on as well. So if you only train twice a week, you could probably drop that protein just down a little bit. So that gives you just a really good, clear idea of how you can start to actually calculate your own macros and where you can kind of start from. So we all kind of need a baseline. Now, the nutrition guide that you have hold of, that you found in the files in the group, is a great guideline, because if you just stick with that, you're going to be getting very close to the macros that you need to be on. You might need to tweak it just a little bit, but it's a great it's a great way to start just by following that guide. So I hope that that kind of helps a little bit. Please know that it's really important to know and understand that nutrition is constantly evolving, and it should never stay the same, because your body is changing, especially when you're training. So that formula that you start on isn't what your macros should stay on forever. So according to how your body is changing, you're going to hit a plateau at some point and you'll need to change things up. So in this period of time with us, this is what we're going to help you with, to figure out when you do hit a plateau, how to actually move forward from that. So there are formulas we can create for each individual to suit their specific body type, goals, lifestyle. However, these will adjust and develop as your body progresses and changes. So not every day should be the same. So the macros formula here may not be exactly the same for a non-training day. So for a non-training day, your body doesn't need as much fuel. So you could drop those carbs down a little bit, just a tiny bit, even just to like 90 or 100 on a non-training day. And then on a training day, bring it back up to that 130, according to your activity levels. And these are the things we can play around with according to how your body is responding to this base level. So once you follow that base level of macros, once you set it, then you take note of how your body's responding. So taking your waist measurement each week, just once a week, and your scale weight once a week is how you can really stay in tune with what's happening with your body. And you can start making very small changes according to what's happening in your body. So if you start with, let's just say, this plan right here, and you do your weight and your waist measurement at the start of the week, and then at the start of the next week, you do your waist and your weight measurement, and let's just say your waist measurement dropped by a centimeter and the scales dropped by 400 grams. You know that it's working. You know it's working. So you don't change anything, right? You stay on the same. The next week, you do the same again. At the end of that week, waist measurement and scale weight. And maybe that week, your waist measurement doesn't change and your scale doesn't change. So that's when you can make a slight adjustment in that next week. So these are the things that we will be going through just really slowly over the course of this 10-week program to help you understand it. So that's the whole idea of, your macros should be different on training days compared to your rest days because your body doesn't need as much fuel. I'm going to stop sharing right there. There we go. I know that was a lot of information, but I really just wanted to just give you a basic idea of macros and how it works. And now you can go away and you've got a little bit of homework to work out what your macros formula should be. And if you need some help, throw it either into the chat group or you can throw it into the group. And we'll definitely get back to you and help you out. So give it a go, give it a try. It doesn't hurt to give it a try, even if you're thinking, I have no idea she's talking Chinese. That's okay. Listen to this recording again, even if you have to listen to it a couple of times to get your head around it. And if you're still having trouble understanding it, please reach out. We're here to help you. And we want to pass that empowerment on, because it's no good to you at the end of this 10 weeks if all we're doing is just telling you what to do, telling you what to eat, but you not having the understanding of why and how, because you'll just go back to square one at the end of your time with us. So this is why we're really believing that this is, and we know, because it's a proven system. We've done this over and over again, and it works really, really well. Probably puts us out of a job because people don't need us as much, but it makes me sleep better at night because I'm passing my knowledge on. So we're going to leave it there for now. And I hope that that gives you something to kind of wrap your head around and have a think about, and see if you can calculate where your macros should be sitting, your protein, carbs, and fats, where that should be sitting. Next week, we'll indulge a little bit more into how to kind of adjust things according to your activity levels, and give you an example of a meal plan, a structured meal plan, in accordance to setting macros. So good luck. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks, Erin, for your time and jumping on tonight. And once again, if you have any questions, please just throw it into the chat or into the group. But I will stop recording now. Thank you, ladies.